United Healthcare denied a CT scan that would have helped determine if I had a life-threatening infection or not. This is my story. Buckle up. I'm going to have to tell it here because I have no other choice at this point. But before I get into it, I would just like to say I do have a GoFundMe. I hate the fact that I've got to try to crowdsource denied medical bills, but that's the country we unfortunately live in, where people in the middle class poverty can barely afford to live because of these health bills. It's in my bio. If you would like to give something, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. If all you can do is share it, that is fine as well. I hate the fact that I have to put that out there, but that's just where I'm at this point. All right, here we go. A while back, I got influenza A. It sucked. I had it for a few days. It eventually turned into a horrible ear infection, to the point where I couldn't hear anything out of it. If anyone's ever had ear infections before, they can be some of the most painful things you can experience. It's up there with mouth pain. I couldn't sleep for days at a time. That ear infection, I end up going to a prompt med center on a Sunday because it was the only place open. I get some antibiotics for it. They tell me to take ibuprofen even though I'm not even able to sleep. I take the ibuprofen, I take antibiotics, I'm taking NyQuil to knock myself out because I'm in so much pain. The antibiotics aren't really doing anything and that ear is staying clogged and painful. So I schedule an appointment with my regular doctor. I go in there, I tell him of my complaint of it being completely clogged. I'm still in pain. I've been battling this infection. I'm on antibiotics, but they're not seeming to work. And I'm having a lot of pain into my jaw. Like it's just really, really hurting. My doctor starts feeling around at my ear, and he instantly notices that I have a lot of pain when I press the back of my ear over here, like right against where your bones are. He is immediately worried that I have something called mastoiditis. He's not 100% sure that I have it, but he needs to make sure that I don't because mastoiditis goes into your bone, which then goes into your brain, and then you can die. It is a very, very life-threatening infection, and you have to be on heavy antibiotics and hospitalized if you do have it. So his plan there is to get me a CT scan. A simple CT scan with dye to determine if I have mastoiditis and if I don't. So I'm in a hospital where I can go downstairs and get that CT scan. I go down there into their processing center and I'm sitting there and I'm like, can I just go back? And they're like, hold on, we are on the phone with your insurance, United Healthcare, and they're putting us through the ringer right now, so just wait, hold tight. Eventually, they bring me a sheet of paper and say, hey, if you want to just sign this right now, it just determines that you will pay the bill in full if your insurance denies it. At that point, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to sign that paper. That's almost $5,000 for a CT scan if my insurance denies it, when I could have a life-threatening infection. Don't know why United Healthcare at that point is denying it, but I sit there and wait for over an hour. I call some of my loved ones and I'm trying to figure out what I should do. Should I sign this paper? Eventually my loved ones are like, you need to find out if you have this. You're not going to say no and not get it, so go ahead and sign the paper. So I signed the paper thinking, well, maybe United Healthcare will figure it out since they've been on the phone for so long later on. I get the CT scan. Thankfully, thank God, I do not have mastoiditis. It is just a horrible ear infection. Now begins the horrible doctor calls when it comes to United Healthcare following this. I have a follow-up with my doctor after he gets me some very, very heavy antibiotics, way more intense. I'm still not able to hear out of this ear. I have more ENT appointments coming up later on. But as I'm there doing the follow-up, my doctor tells me his struggle in dealing with United Healthcare, and this is what he said. So they initially deny the claim. Their reasoning for him, by the way, he's been on the phone for almost 3 hours talking to them. This is the previous day. He's getting the runaround. He says, they say that we deal with a third party. You've got to talk to this third party. He talks to the third party. They say, no. You got to talk to United Healthcare. He goes back and he talks to United Healthcare. They say, no. You got to talk to the third party again. To which he says, all right, we're going to get on a three-way call. To which they say, hold on a minute. Of course, it takes about 20 minutes. They come back and say, no. We're not going to get on a three-way call. You just need to deal with what our decision is. They refuse to approve this, no matter how much he talks to them. They deny it, deny the claim. And their reason for denying this claim is this. According to them, once again, none of them have if you know anything about these cubicle workers, none of them have any kind of medical background. They all are in another field completely. But according to United Healthcare, the reason that they keep denying this claim is because the proper procedures for getting a CT scan of this determination is you have to have one, a regular CT scan followed by another CT scan with dye. My doctor, who said, hold on one second, we're not going to do that because that would have determined me to have a CT scan and then a second one, 2 doses, by the way, of radiation, which he says is completely unnecessary. All he needed was 1 CT scan with dye, but United Healthcare wanted to put me through 2 rounds of basically pumping me with radiation because in their idea, that is the correct course of action. So obviously my doctor said, no, we didn't do that, and I would have never done that to my patient, to which they say, well, too bad, suck it up, it's denied. And it will always be denied because you didn't follow the proper procedures, even though the proper procedures would have been way more detrimental to my health. At this point, he says some choice words to the insurance company, and they hang up on him. I'm not going to say what he said to them, but it was badass. I really love my doctor. I'm not going to say his name here, but he is just one of the great ones, you know. But unfortunately, as he's telling me this story in my follow-up appointment, he says, he literally gives me the advice. He says, I don't know. He goes, you can appeal and appeal, he says, but basically what he would suggest that I do is go to a local news or start a GoFundMe because he sees this as a huge injustice. And if your doctor is straight up telling you to go to the local news, you know you don't have a hope in hell of ever getting through with this. I've done what I can to try to get in contact with any local news sources that I have, but what I do have is TikTok and a somewhat following here. So I've come to you guys to help deal with this. Spread this story if you can. Please spread it. If you want to send it to local news organizations. I live in Northwest Indiana. We're dealing with a lot over here in the news. If you look at our NIPSCO kind of stuff, that's our power company. We're dealing with huge spikes there. We're just dealing with a lot right now. So if you can spread it to any kind of Northwest Indiana news or Chicagoland area news, that would be great. If all you can do is give to the GoFundMe, once again, I really appreciate that. I just feel like, why do I have to suffer for the next 5 to 10 years paying off a bill that would have determined if I would have lived or not, and they refuse to pay a penny? It's just, we live in a nightmare when it comes to healthcare in this country. We live in a nightmare, and United Healthcare is the master of nightmares when it comes to insurance companies. It is the master of nightmares. This whole situation has made me do everything in my power to try to get off of their plan and keep them in the dust and stay far away for the rest of my life from this company. Once again, please share this video. If you can, give the GoFundMe. I appreciate all of you. All of my followers are amazing. They've always been amazing. I hate the fact that I have to do this. My wife hates the fact that I have to do this. We all hate the fact that this is just the course of action that I have to take. But I wanted to get my story out there because I feel like if more people know about these kind of injustices that are going on, the better shot we have at making a change, even when it feels like hopeless. Thank you all very much. I love every single one of you. Goodbye.